So, what does it take to become a whale in Diablo Immortal? Now, in some games, it might only cost you $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, but Diablo Immortal is not like these other games. In Diablo Immortal, you'll find players who have spent anywhere from $1,000 to $20,000 to upwards of $100,000. Now, you might remember the infamous video, "Should I refund $100,000 on Diablo Immortal?" from JTisallbusiness from over 3 years ago. And if you didn't see it from him, then you might have watched the Bald Man react to it, seeing as he's gotten about 10 times the amount of views on it. But even nowadays, $100,000 is a lot to spend on a game. And it is a little bit watered down now that the game's over 3 years old, and it's not as shocking to hear, but that's still over $30,000 a year. That's more than the cost of a new Nissan Sentra. And oh yeah, stay tuned. We're going to take a look at how JTisallbusiness is doing nowadays, since we happen to play on the same server. And yes, he does still play. So, what does it mean to be a whale in Diablo Immortal, and how much does this all cost? The first thing I want to mention are the in-game currencies and how I'll be making a real dollar comparison here. So the two currencies are Platinum, which can be used on the player market, buy and sell items. It can be earned for 3 through the Battle Pass and a few other places. And then there are Orbs, which are the premium currency, which you can only buy from Blizzard. And of course, if you check the website, you can see the same bog standard predatory pricing. And would you believe me if I told you that there's a secret $200 bundle that is only available on the website? I'm assuming it's because there's some sort of limit to the price of in-app purchases on mobile games, but this bundle will provide you with the best dollar per orbs that you can find. But of course, there is a black market for both of these currencies. I'm not going to be considering it in my calculations, but if you do end up, buying orbs from one of these people, then you're going to end up with a negative orb balance, and Blizzard's going to make it so that your account can never join a party ever again. It's honestly one of the coolest ways I've seen to receive a soft ban, because your account just becomes unusable. You still have it, so now you just have the FOMO times a million. But the most cost-effective way is to spend your money, buy some orbs, use that to buy crests in the game, get some legendary gems, sell those for plat, or use them yourself. Because you can also transfer 1 orb for 10 plat, but this conversion rate sucks and should be only done for like tiny amounts of platinum. Next, I'll briefly explain what systems are in place that make people whales. So there are 2 main things, and these are 2 different types of gems. There are normal gems, which come in the red, yellow, and blue variety, and these only provide a singular stat. These are a lot more straightforward. You just get duplicates, and you upgrade them, and they give you stats. But the number that is required is astronomical, so it's an exponential growth. Every rank requires another exponent of 3. So rank 9 is like 7,000 duplicates, and rank 10, the maximum rank, is 20,000. And just for context, you can only get about 20 of a specific gem per week, naturally. So you're going to be spending a lot of platinum on these things. And then there are legendary gems, which these have their own abilities, they provide their own different boosts, and most importantly, they increase your resonance. Now, your resonance is essentially a number that denotes what rank and what quality your gems are, as well as it gives your HP and damage a boost. But that's not too important. All you need to know is the higher the resonance, the more gems the person has bought, the more money they've spent, and so on. And as I've alluded to, the way you get more resonance is by upgrading your gems. And once they're high enough rank, you can throw gems inside of those gems to get another little small resonance boost. And then once you've spent enough money, you can put gems inside of your wings, and you unlock new sets of wings at every 1,000 resonance interval. But once you put these gems inside of your wings, I have no idea where they go, how they sit in there, what they're doing in there, but nonetheless, they provide a little bit of a resonance boost, as I was mentioning. So this is a good look into the money pit that legendary gems are. So the current maximum resonance as of the making of this video is 13,024. But before we jump into the big numbers, let's take a look at where we came from. So in the beginning, when Diablo Immortal was just a little new game, the max resonance was 7,560, which was very hard to reach, but not impossible. because our friendly neighborhood JT is all business achieved it himself.
That's where I'm at. Now, if you guys are wondering, JT, how much have you spent to get where you are? The total I've spent is $67. No, actually, I spent $5,000 today. The total I've spent is $73,000. However, as you can see, a lot of this is in eternal orbs, which have not been spent yet. So the total amount that's actually spent on the account is somewhere right around, I believe, $63,000.
But at that point, being a whale was considered to be around 5,000 resonance, and we know how much this costs because of a video from Darth Microtransaction.
I told you I would tell you the price of this. So the price of this was $24,000 in order to get those Giga Chad wings. It cost the guy just $24,500, I think is what he said it was, and was 1,100 runs of the Rift. It was the information that the person who posted those wings answered with.
And now I can tell you from my own experience that nowadays getting 5K costs absolutely nothing close to that. If you wanted to try and get everything at once in the ideal conditions, 5K reso is going to cost you anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000. But if you've been playing for a while, it's more likely that you'll spend closer to $2,000 to $3,000. Now, over the years, they've added 2 additional item slots, which means 2 legendary gem slots, and this brings the max reso up to about 10,000. Again, an impossible number at the time, but what this update also pushed was the boundary of what is considered to be a whale. 5,000 resonance was now much, much more achievable for a lot less money. So to be considered a whale after this update was more around 6,000 to 7,000 resonance. And I don't know how much this would have cost at the time, but nowadays you can reach 6,000 resonance for close to $10,000. But we're still pretty far off of the 13,024 I mentioned. This is where the wing resonance comes into play. That's right, adding gems inside of your wings. And the bigger your wings are, the more gems you can add in there. And you guessed it, with the addition of wing resonance, the cutoff of who is a whale was again pushed back even farther. Nowadays, wing resonance unlocks at 6,000 resonance, so to be considered a whale, you have to be closer to 9,000 resonance. That's right, we've officially surpassed the original maximum. And upon reaching 9,000 resonance, you can apply to the official whale Discord. And then once you're in there, you'll realize that you need to spend another $20,000 just to hang with the big dogs. So, getting your account to 9,000 resonance is going to run you about 30,000 US dollars. And that's just for the legendary gems. Again, this is an ideal condition if you're able to just go and buy all of this within a few days, if not a week. But that's only one part of it. If you remember earlier, I mentioned that there are also normal gems. And well, there are 20 normal gem slots. And in order to hang with the rest of the whales, you need to get your normal gems ranked up too. Rank 8 would be the bare minimum, rank 9 makes you a contender, and rank 10, while mostly unachievable, is what will give you the edge on the competition. Luckily, out of all the gem slots, you don't really need to worry about the red ones, so you can just save yourself a little bit of money there and upgrade your blue and yellow gems. But of course, everybody's doing this, so the blue and yellow gems are more expensive. And this is going to run you about $17,000 just to get them to rank 9. And not only is it going to cost you so much, you're also going to be spending hours just staring at the market, hoping that someone has posted more gems, because, as I've mentioned previously, each rank 9 gem requires 6,561 duplicates. So this brings your minimum cost of becoming a whale to a whopping $47,000. And this just barely gets you into the whale territory, because you're also going to need a good pet, and I hope you've been leveling up your sanctum every day. Which, the sanctum is just a daily thing. You go inside this area, you open some chests, get some of these gemstones, upgrade some more gems that give you some different stats. It all adds up in the end. But it's locked to once a day. So if you haven't been playing for that long, your sanctum is going to be very, very underleveled. But these two things are going to run you an extra $1,000 to $5,000, just depending on how long you've been playing. So it's safe to say that 9,000 resonance whales are spending somewhere around $50,000 just to hang with the rest. And you might be wondering, oh, there's not that many people who are at 9,000 resonance. But these types of accounts are incredibly common. You'll see them everywhere, but they pale in comparison to the real whales, those who have made it to the in-game cap of 13,024 resonance. So players haven't honestly been up this high in resonance for that long. It has been less than half a year since we've seen the first accounts at all ever maxed out on resonance. At least in the US. I'm not sure how China's going since they essentially have their own game over there. But reaching 13,024 resonance is no small feat. the absolute minimum requirements are 40 max rank, 5 out of 5 quality legendary gems, 24 rank 10 2-star gems, and this alone is over $220,000. In ideal conditions, of course, just for these legendary gems. And that's having max rank gems equipped, then you put max rank gems inside of your gems, and then you have max rank gems inside of your wings. And let's not forget about the normal gems, because these players who are maxing out their resonance are also the types to have rank 10 normal gems. Again, almost 20,000 duplicates per gem. So these guys are going to get all 20 normal gems to max rank, because you can't be walking around with some little rank 7 and rank 8 red slots if you're going to be a real whale. They have all got to be 9 and 10, if not all 10. So for the cheaper red gems, each rank 10 is going to cost you about $1,000. And then for the yellow gems, you're going to be spending about $1,500 per slot. And then for the more expensive blue gems, specifically the sapphires, they're going to be about $3,500 per gem. So in total, that's an additional $41,000 on normal gems alone. And you're also going to be spending hours, if not days, just staring at the market, sourcing the almost 400,000 duplicates needed to rank these up. But that's not all. These whales have their gems maxed out, so why not max out their familiars as well? The best familiars or pets are going for millions of platinum, and the ones you'll see these guys wearing are going to cost around $1,000 each. And I can tell you with certainty that they will have multiple pets of this sort. And I mentioned the Sanctum earlier in this video. Well, the account we're looking at now has his completely maxed out. And it's hard to say exactly how much this would cost because I'm unsure of how many days you'd need to open all these chests, because you have to do this every single day. But this will run you somewhere around $15,000. So now that brings our grand total to max your account like these Giga Whales to $281,000. And this is assuming that you're able to straight up buy everything from the market, which in the short term is not really achievable, because if you remember, we need 74 duplicates for each legendary gem, and then you need 40 of these total, and that's almost 3,000 duplicates to max everything out. Now you can also just buy the crest with orbs and hope that you get gems that you need, but that'll also require you to run tens of thousands of Elder Rifts. And then you have to also hope that you get what you need. And doing this is more expensive in the long run, but not by much. If you go on rate, then you can have all your gems maxed out for a similar price of like $250,000, which would bring the total to about $311,000. However, in the real world, you'll find that these mega whales have more than just the minimum of 40 legendary gems. A lot of these gems that you put inside of your gems are also ones that you'd like to use yourself. So you're going to have multiples of these, and then each time new gems come out, you're going to want to get your 74 copies all over again. So in practice, you'll see that these whales will have closer to 60 max rank gems. And now this is going to cost you over $330,000 alone. More if you want to run the crest yourself. So we can make a reasonable assumption as to how much it costs to max your account, like these specific Giga Whales. And that number is $391,000. Again, in ideal conditions. So it's not crazy to assume that they've spent over $400,000. But before we go, I mentioned that we take a look at how JTisallbusiness is doing, as he is the original whale of Diablo Immortal. And he's probably the reason that most people know about Diablo Immortal, or know that it's so pay to win. So if we take a look at his account, we can see that he's no longer 5k reso, of course. He's now up to almost 12,000 resonance. So he's still up there when it comes to whales, yet he's still pretty far away from maxing out his character. And then looking at his normal gems, they're pretty much all rank 9 and 10. And JT was probably one of the first few people to have any normal gem at rank 10, when he ranked up a ruby to 10 over 2 years ago. He picked rubies because they're the easiest to source, since as I've mentioned, no one really likes them. And you can even see now that he doesn't even have the ruby socketed, so it really was just for the love of the game. And then also looking at his Sanctum, we can see that the important things are maxed out, but it's not completely maxed out yet. And that's because I'm pretty sure he's taken some extended breaks from the game, so if you're not doing this every day, then you're really not going to be able to max it out. So that's how JT's doing now. He's definitely still a big whale, but not even close to the Giga Whales, since it takes so much to reach the max level on your gems and so on. So would you say it's worth it to spend this much? I'd personally never say it's worth it to spend the hundreds of thousands of dollars that some people have spent, but I'll leave you with something to think about. These are people just spending money on a hobby of theirs. And I know I've personally spent over $10,000 on the gym and gym related things in the past 3 years. That's including, protein and gas and all this. And that's a cheaper hobby than most. Some hobbies like golfing specifically or collecting things can have you spending tens of thousands of dollars a year. So for most people, it honestly starts to make sense why they've spent so much money in the game. You know, also some part of this is going to be the gambling aspect. Some people have a little bit of a gambling addict in themselves, but that really only applies to these big whales, not most people who haven't spent that much money. Now, with all that being said, I would like to thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe if you're new, and let me know if you enjoyed this type of video. It's my first time trying out some sort of like commentary type video, and peace.